You just downloaded the show that was nominated Best Entertainment Podcast of 2013, only to be beaten by The Walking Dead.
Spy Shack, that's where Tony's at. Tony is a sneaking, Tony is a listening, wearing extra.
You look great, David. You look awesome. Hey, everybody, this is Survivor Talk with D&D. I'm Dwayne.
And I am David.
Yes, you are, and we are just two best friends talking about the show we love, Survivor, and tonight is our listener feedback show. That is right, our listener feedback show. For episode 2, which I have confirmed on iTunes, it is episode 2, not episode 3. Episode 2, Cops Are Us. We have 8 feedback tonight, David.
And I have no notes, so you are flying solo, buddy.
Hold on. I accidentally did it again. Awesome. Please start over. Please say whatever you just said because I inadvertently had our broadcast going in another window on accident.
I said, and I have no notes, so you are flying solo.
Whoa, you have no notes.
I got feedback, but I have no notes.
You
It's all on you.
Your notes. Well, David would say we have a fun show tonight. We have the Baker's 15. We have listener feedback, and Dwayne's always crazy theory.
So you did finally come up with one.
Yes.
Excellent. David? I knew you wouldn't let us down.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, David. I appreciate that.
Well, what was it, like 4 hours ago? I still don't have a theory. But those are usually your best ones that you come up with last minute.
No, I mean, thank you for saying your part in the show. You know, see the little yellow highlights?
Glad I could be in here. Yeah, just hold that up so I can go with it.
Yeah. By the way, y'all have been shopping on Amazon, and you have been doing so using our links. We cannot begin to tell you how much it helps. We honestly would not be able to continue doing this. Financially, our wives would kick us out of the house. If it weren't for y'all going on Amazon through our links. You go through our website, survivortalkwithdnd.com. We have links on the sidebars. We appreciate that. Or just set up a shortcut on your desktop and go to survivortalkwithdnd.com/Amazon and buy your Amazon stuff there. I don't care if you buy a 15-cent eraser. It helps because actually it does help because if you bought like 100 of those, our percentage goes up to like 7 or something like that. I don't know what kind of ridiculous percentage it would go to. 48%. And
it would be higher than it is now.
Right? Yeah, and then the guy that bought the 50-inch TV last month, you know, we get a little more money from it. Anyway, thank you very much for doing that. David would also like to thank, this is David's line right here, since he didn't print out his
I couldn't be there to accept my podcast award notes, so
yes.
you're giving my speech.
Yes. David wants to thank Janice Tillery and Sean McClure. Sean, gosh, I can't believe I messed up his name.
I can't believe you did either.
Seth McClure for their PayPal donations this past week. Both were very generous and very kind, and those are also on our website, the PayPal button. You can select your own amount. We even have 2 people that donate monthly. They just set it up to go monthly. It's pretty awesome. So there you go. Helping us out, helping out the D&D. By the way, David, did you like the opening music, the Spy Shack?
Love it. I have played that, I think, every day this week. I told you one day I played it twice. I've had to play that on my phone every day this week in the office because the ladies keep wanting to hear that song.
The ladies.
The ladies.
Well, earlier this week I was in my office minding my own business. I wasn't on Facebook at all. And I heard this kid walking down the hallway going, Spy Shack is a little hidden place where... I thought, dude, somebody has been listening to our podcast.
There you go.
All right. Well, guess what time it is, David?
Is it that time?
It is that time. He writes the Baker's Dozen every single week, and a good job he does. In fact, I do believe that his blog will be up later tonight as we record this. So as you download the audio version, the Baker's Dozen is already up over on Jeff Pittman's site, True Dork Times. The Baker's Dozen, but there's always more that he wants to say because 3,800 words is not enough. So we have with us, give him a nice big round of applause, we have with us Mr. Andy Baker.
Hey guys, how's it going? Ooh, I got a true round of applause right there. No standing ovation.
Yes, there's your round of applause. It took me a little while to get it up there. Yes. All right, Andy. Hey, man, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I tend to hit this point where, when I finally unleash the column and send it along to Jeff, I have this little fit of euphoria where it's like, oh, I don't have to think about Survivor for a couple of days.
And then we call you. Yes.
Yeah. And I realized, oh God, I gotta talk shop.
I gotta talk to D&D, dadgummit. And your wife's like, oh, good, you're finally done with the article. And you're like, no, Dwayne's calling me in the other room. All right, well, Andy, you got your timer set? 15 minutes.
Well, that's right, I gotta do that.
You can actually go a little longer if you want.
Don't set a timer. He was kidding.
I'll set the timer.
You got a timer? Okay. Yeah. We were talking about this before the show started, but it was an episode that was kind of, you hit a point late in the episode where it kind of goes by the numbers. But to me, that often gives you an opportunity to sort of look at when they have what they know is a by the numbers episode, they tend to spend some time establishing what's to come. Since we know what's going to happen in this episode, they're sort of planting the seeds for the episodes ahead. And to me, the biggest thing that jumped out at me about the whole episode is just this sense of there's probably, in all likelihood, a swap coming, and we kind of have to start getting a sense for who the key players are going to be post swap, and sort of who has power, what kind of power do they have, and how's that going to manifest itself once tribes get shuffled up.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see this in the column, but I was sort of trying to parse the difference between good power and bad power, and there are different ways, obviously, to play the game, and some people can be like Boston Rob and control a game. Others sort of let the game come to them. But to some degree, it's just, what do you do with the power that you have? And do you know how to handle it?
Right.
Because you're 3 episodes in, which in their lives is about a week and a half, or 9 days.
It was 8 days. This time it was 8,
Yeah.
Okay, so 8 days heading into, which is a lot of time when you think about it.
Yeah.
How much time they spend together out there, and it's the nature of Survivor. You're creating this little micro society, and in the early going, when you do that, you have the power dynamic shapes itself.
Right.
You build up while simultaneously tearing down, which is the beauty of Survivor. But in these tribes, like Brawn has had a solid week of bonding time without the threat of having to eliminate anybody.
Right, and they haven't had to do any who are we going to vote out talks, so they haven't had those uncomfortable times at camp.
Yeah, which it was fascinating talking to some of the One World guys, how they were saying, we got to bro down for 8 solid days before we were dumb enough to send ourselves to tribal.
Yeah.
And the times were good, and everyone was happy and got to really know one another. And I mean, but you end up with some power players who really want to play the game. That's part of probably what fueled Colton, and it's part of what you see, I think, right now with Sarah, where her ego. I mean, we're being teased that this week she's going to start trying to, angle for, intentionally losing a challenge.
Yeah, probably to get off Cliff. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, she's clearly buying into Tony's story, hook, line, and sinker, and thinking, I need to turn people against Cliff because he's the one who's trying to convince Lindsay I need to go because I'm the smart one.
All right, I got a question for you then. You might know more about this because Dwayne and I have talked about it. Do you think each season of Survivor is laid out day by day, challenge by challenge, no matter what tribes or what size? We're going to shuffle here. We're going to do this challenge here, no matter who's gone, no matter who stays. Do you think it's all set nearly in stone as to how they're going to run it? And I asked that question because of this. They could have asked for a better situation this last episode in the Brains not losing and Apari starting to show a little weakness in their strong tribe. Because the last thing I think they want is another Tandang going all the way. Even though Philippines was really good, I don't think they want one tribe being so dominant going into the latter stages of the game.
Well, I think it depends on who that tribe is. Like Tandang, I think they knew was going to fracture at that point, just because there was so much ill will inside of it. And as I think a number of people have talked about when it comes to, sometimes you need a tribal council to release all of the pressure that's building up in your tribe, but that doesn't mean you still want to get there. And particularly, I mean, Sarah's trying to turn people against Cliff, and everyone likes him.
Right.
But to answer your question, yeah, I mean, I've heard a number. I mean, some people insist up and down that the whole thing is set in stone from the beginning,
right?
Because it is a game show and it's beholden to game show rules. And if you saw movies like Quiz Show and stuff like that, they've got a pretty stringent set of legal rules guarding and guiding what they're allowed to do. But there is clearly some flexibility in that they've had situations before where a challenge gets pushed downstream because of weather. They have challenges that clearly were designed to be used as a tribal challenge, but got pushed, and suddenly you have individual. I mean, you have individuals competing in groups in a reward challenge. Anyway, it seems that there has been some flexibility, so they don't seem to be firmly set in stone as to this challenge on this day.
Yeah. Okay, and I don't have a problem with that, but are they flexible with, well, we were going to wait till episode, or till after the fourth person was voted out to do a swap, but now we're going to wait till the fifth person is voted out to do a swap?
Well, if I didn't know you guys better, I would think that you are tempting me to throw on my, as some people have called it, tinfoil buff and start spouting conspiracy theories.
Why?
No.
Because, I mean, if I were to be a producer of a television show, one that already has a somewhat checkered history going all the way back to Borneo with the whole Stacey Stillman, we don't want Rudy voted out at this point in the game kind of thing.
Which we absolutely believe happened.
Yes.
Or I do.
Yeah. But I think part of this is, I would be inclined to think, yes, that they want to put on the best show they can. They want the biggest characters that they can get. And if they can, time a swap or time a merge differently to have those preferable outcomes happen, I can see why they would be tempted. I mean, I'm going to tell you something totally random here, but as a teacher, I have my obsession with Survivor has crept into the classroom. Over the years, have done Classroom Survivor, and I have the class split into tribes. They do these competitions. It's all academic, but ultimately it goes down. They merge. They do all of it, and we
should do a podcast about that next time you do that.
Sure.
Survivor Talk with D&D, talking about Andy Baker's class. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's just I mean the kids really got into it. And
I say then we'd have to take feedback from the kids about the class itself.
Poor Andy. He's like, I'm trying to tell a story. Go ahead. The kids really got into it.
Yeah, but you can feel when you're orchestrating this, like what would be more interesting or what would be better, or who's more deserving of the kids, and wanting to sort of pick challenges and shape them in a way so like they won't vote out the smart geeky kid because he's not popular in the first one because they need him for challenges. I mean, you feel the temptation, but you have to be hands off.
Right.
And once you have a show that's for millions of people, of course they feel like they want to get their hands in there. Whether or not they do anything truly to manipulate it that way, they want to. Guaranteed they want to.
Yeah.
And when you want to enough and you become so invested and so powerful as Probst himself has become, that's where you create something like Redemption Island, because, well, if I can't control it, well, I'm going to put in this thing that's going to help me accomplish what it is I want to do, but doesn't fit within game show rules.
Right.
But I think they are locked into where merges and swaps and that sort of thing happens.
Right.
At this point, as much as I want to indulge a conspiracy theory, I think they do lock into that, and that the lawyers go through it and say, okay, that's going to happen there, that's going to happen there.
Right.
I think they have more flexibility with challenges. I think they have to lock into a final two or final three from the beginning. because otherwise you can truly play favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, as much, although it's interesting to me to think, like, the reason why they have a final three in place now and why we probably never see it leave is that they don't ever want to have the scenario. I think they would like to have that flexibility to allow, if they liked all the last three, to make it a final two, but I think they have to lock in before then, and they don't want to run into a situation where somebody, usually in the final three, there are two deserving people.
Right.
In the final two, you could have just a cakewalk. And
yeah, they don't want to run into a Boston Rob versus Phillip final, because I mean that would no, I don't know who would watch, but I think they, now that you mentioned it, this was a very well edited episode, because I thought Beauty, we didn't get anything much out of them that we didn't already know, because that's the numbers that I thought just went in order. Unfortunately for Bryce, they just went in order of how that was going to go, and the brains got the challenge, and that was their reward. That was our reward for the brains. I thought it was a great challenge in them winning. And I think the Brawn, they brought out whatever they could. Now, I'm not necessarily sold that it's Cliff. You know, what if Sarah starts talking to people and realizes that she's being played? We never heard her say, we need to throw a challenge to get rid of Cliff.
Well, no, we just assumed.
We just assumed. So maybe that's the drama they're trying to build, and saying that, not necessarily saying it's going to be Cliff. It could be Tony if she figures it out or gets wind of something. But I think the editing was okay. But yeah, I agree. This was just kind of a calm before the storm episode. It didn't really, but I love the challenge. I like the challenge a lot, and to me, it was an underdog challenge, and I like the result more than the challenge itself. I love the result of it.
It's funny. One thing that I too love the challenge. I think it was Jeff Pittman pointed out that for all of their practice, the brains were utterly miserable at that part of the challenge.
Exactly.
And it's like nobody watched the earlier seasons and realized, you know what, we want you need to just soak your shirt and squeeze that into the bucket. And it's funny, in the previews, I saw a shot where I was like, oh God, Bryce and Morgan have no idea what they're doing for the Beauty Tribe. Then I realized, okay, whether she intended it or not, Morgan has sort of ample acreage up front, which she sort of got soaked, and I think that's why they won the first part of that challenge, was
by a mile,
was squeezing out her shirt.
Yeah, Cass started to do it, but Jatia couldn't even hit her shirt. She was hitting everything. She hit more sand than anything else.
Yeah, it was so bad.
Even Cass was wringing her shirt, going, "I'm not even wet. She's not even hitting me with the water."
So Andy, were you going? I mean, did we get you too far off of what you wanted to talk about? Did you want to talk about what you thought when the merge was, not the merge, but the swap is coming, and who they're trying to get our attention towards?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're being given examples of power. We have Tasha, who has almost by default taken over the Brains tribe, but she's not really leading all that well.
Oh.
Insofar as she's being a bit, I mean, I love her to death. I think she's great. I really want her to be a factor, but she's issuing orders about wanting to practice, and when she gets pushback, she's getting a bit attitudinal about it, as opposed to just letting people come to the decision to join her. She could have grabbed Jatia and gone and done it herself and have them come join when they're ready, but both Cass and Spencer were pushing back.
Right.
Over in Brawn, we see Sarah again, and she's indulging ego and trying to push her own agenda. And over in Brawn, Jeremiah is acting like I'm in a power position because I'm the potential flip vote, and both sides want me with them. And when you put yourself in that position and you want to be in that position, that's one thing. That's a powerful position, particularly if you're down in numbers and there's a swap and you see that tandems need a third person to swing things. You can put yourself in a pretty good spot. But when other people put you into that flip position, it's not really power.
Right.
He is stuck in the middle, and they've identified that he's a potential flipper, and that's not a good thing. If Bryce and Morgan think that he might flip, LJ thinks that too, and so LJ is not going to fully trust him.
Right.
And frankly, you want to go into a swap with 4 people that were all on the same side. So if you get split up 2 and 2 in the new tribes, you're guaranteed to be in a tandem that wants to work with you, as opposed to if he had worked with Morgan and Bryce, suddenly he's on the fringes of those two, and he's got whoever he didn't take out, LJ, Alexis, Jeff, or whatever, he would be in a position where he would have made enemies. You don't want to be in that position. Meanwhile, LJ is the example of somebody who is exercising his power well, I think.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you always see it. You always have to, infer it from how people react. Like when David turns to Garrett on day 1 and says, "I'm thinking about the end game here, and you're a threat, and so I'm gonna make you our weakest," because he's thinking about day 39. When LJ identifies Bryce as somebody who is a post-merge threat, and that's why he's picking him over Morgan as to who he's going to target. It's not being portrayed as being irrational or he's looking too far ahead. It's sort of presented as reasonable. Like, yeah, you know what? Bryce is an endgame threat, a social threat, a post-merge threat. So, so he's thinking the same way David did, but it's not being portrayed the same way. And
by also picking Bryce, he got out of the issue of having to say, "I'm sure she doesn't have the idol. Don't worry about her having the idol. Even though she was here first, he doesn't have to deal with that conversation. Just go with the person he knows. Obviously, he knows nobody has it but him, but Bryce can't have it because he wasn't here early."
Yeah, the only thing I think LJ could have done better along the idol front is if he knew Jeremiah was with him, but he knew that Bryce and Morgan were talking to Jeremiah and trying to convince him to flip, and told him essentially, "Go ahead and talk to them." When Bryce said, "Who are you guys thinking?" and Jeremiah, very guileless, ends up saying, "Well, you." And one, that's unwise honesty. But two, if LJ had coached him up, he would have said, if Bryce asks, say we're going after Morgan because we want to blindside her because, or we want to get her to play the idol. Right. We're targeting her, and if she has an idol, we want her to play it.
Right.
And just to keep the plausible lie that the idol is out there somewhere, that they're genuinely worried that Morgan has it, so that you can at least you can find out that she doesn't have it because she ends up not playing it. But why not have that threat there? But also when LJ says to the whole tribe, "Hey, does anyone want to just quit? Does anyone want to go home so we don't have to go through all of this stuff?"
Yes.
I mean, if he was not seen as a true leader, that would have had a hell of a lot of pushback with all those personalities on that tribe. But they all sort of took it and were like, "No, we want to stay, but thanks for asking." I mean, he must have had somebody in mind, like Jeffro must have been whining pretty hard, or some of the others must have been really miserable. But still, you don't ask that question, without running the risk of major pushback, unless everybody's seeing you. In a position of asking.
Well, I'm going back to the swap. If they swap, don't they lose the Beauty Brains Brawn competition?
Yeah.
I mean, then it's just a normal season of Survivor again.
That's just like Cook Islands. Cook Islands, as soon as they did the swaps and got rid of a tribe, they lost the cultural differences. So they just mixed them up.
After how many episodes did they do the swap on Cook Island?
I want to say like the third or fourth episode. It wasn't that far into it. They switched pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, most of the swaps now they hit after 4 people are gone, and usually that's because just like we were talking about with establishing these little societies and the power dynamics in them, they're settling into their roles, and so eliminations will start becoming predictable, and that's precisely when Survivor steps in and says, no. We can't have anything be predictable. We don't want anyone too comfortable with their power dynamics. Let's create a new one.
Right. And that's when people's games get totally messed up.
They do, and I understand. I mean, I've been a big proponent over the years for, it's like people who got screwed by the game, have a season like that if you're going to have a returning player season. Yeah. Get the people who got messed up by swaps, by this, the setup of the season, whatever it is. It feels horribly unfair, but if you end up having to play several games. There's the initial game, there's the post-swap game, there's the post-merge game, and there's the end game.
But
and
that's
you need to be ready to play those various pieces. And part of the benefit that someone like Sarah has, if you can keep Brawn together, then you can, the second part of the game post-swap, you're going to probably have 3 people, and the other tribes are going to have 2 or 1.
That's right.
You can still control. You've earned the right to control the post-swap game.
Right.
I think the hardest job this past episode was the edit, because I think, like I said, we got all out of we could out of certain tribes, but I think what the edit wanted to show us was no matter who goes home from beauty, none of the tribes are secure. We're gonna start the storyline for Apari, the Brawn tribe, that they are not solid. They are not 6 strong, so hang on to your hats. It's going to be a mix-up soon, and you're going to see all kinds of drama and tensions going on. Nobody's safe. You know, we didn't get anything for the Brains after their win. I would assume because they were just holed in their little hut trying to stay out of the weather, or they were just happy. You know, we don't want to see happy. We want to see drama. So we need to see tribes that are starting to fold or crumble before we get to the next level, because there was not much else. Did you ever think Jeremiah was going to switch? I never thought he was going to go with Bryce and Morgan.
No, I think you guys were right in your podcast that he was being asked leading questions.
Right.
And I think LJ told him, go ahead and let them think that you're going to flip. They know that I'm not gonna. So if they come to you, then let's use that for information. But I don't think he was ever going to flip.
Well, if he did, that's a great play right there for a leader to say, go ahead and be their spy, our spy, and let them think you're considering it. Because I believe they did. Almost up to the tribal council, they thought he was considering it.
Yeah. What's interesting, though, is I think one other person who may be in on that scheming, who is being utterly and completely ignored by the edit, is Alexis. She's the one who pitched the 2-2-2 splitting the votes thing. She knows what's going on. She's strategically aware, and she... but she's being. I mean, if she was going to be an endgame factor, they would be showing her being more influential along those lines.
Yeah, well, maybe.
So if she, you wonder if she'll emerge later, but it seemed odd because I think she's got. It's all being attributed to LJ right now.
Right.
But I think you're right about showing some of the fractures over in Brawn. They want to have a certain amount of drama that they can exploit. I think we're being set up for perhaps a Tony idol play post swap if he ends up being on the wrong side of the numbers. I think, but for me, I think the name that I keep coming back to when it comes to who's going to go from Brawn is Lindsay.
Mm-hmm.
That they're going to talk about Cliff, but nobody's going to want him to go. We were given that whole Batman and Robin with Wu thing. Yes, that's entertainment value, but it's also sort of planting seeds like, okay, these guys are going to be dutiful challenge contributors, and I just don't see Cliff leaving. I don't see Trish leaving. I don't see Sarah leaving. I don't see Tony leaving. It all comes down to Lindsay, and she's getting a horrible edit.
Yeah, so far. And we haven't seen, they showed her mooning the tribe on a pre-season thing. We haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
So not that I care to see it.
Well, I wasn't expecting it during the monsoon, so it was probably going to be coming up sometime.
But you know what? Part of the reason why the Brawn tribe is entertaining right now is because of Tony. Tony's making it entertaining. They're watching Tony and going, thank you. We have somebody out there who's just loving this game, is going all out. I mean, over the top playing this game, having a blast playing it.
Yeah.
If he got voted out this week, he'd get voted out having a blast.
Oh yeah. Major kudos to Kojak. The dude is playing the game. Team TV. I mean, he's surrounded by a bunch of people on that tribe who is like, is he the only one who did his homework?
Yeah.
He's the guy who is aware of Survivor commandments about knowing that you check every reward challenge thing for clues. That's what you do.
He's playing the game. I love it. Team TV.
I'm not blogging this season, thank the goodness, Lord. But
even though you got one coming out tomorrow.
Well, it's not a blog. It's basically a few funny pictures in the power rankings. But I wrote under Tony, who's a lot higher than he was last week. Who else is playing? Is anybody else playing? Because the clues are finding him. I mean, it's like he's going to find every clue. He's found 2 that he didn't need. I'm like, are you kidding me? Where is the rest of the people? Are they taking baths in the ocean while he's going through clues?
Yeah, it's again. I mean, it is. I mean, even if you only watch modern Survivor, post heroes versus villains, you know that the clues are there to be found. I mean, I write about it in this week's column, but you know that there are idols. You know that they want them played. They're going to keep throwing clues out there because not only do they want people to find the idols, they want other people to know there's an idol and go and find that it's gone and try to figure out who found it.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're not immediately pouncing on every single reward thing and searching it madly for a clue, well, it shows a certain level of complacency because I think they all think they're going to win out or something, without realizing, we can't all win. Right. And it's like, why aren't you looking for the idol? If you're Sarah and you're running this tribe, you don't want an idol out there that's going to throw your plans off. So why aren't you looking?
Yeah, we talk about stuff we don't see. In fact, the first challenge where the beauty won, that big basket of stuff, included in that basket was a tarp, Dwayne. Yep. So what Tony said was right. There was a smaller tarp in that giant basket of stuff. So that's what he was referring to. But there might also have been a clue since the idol wasn't found, and we don't know if LJ found it. And like we've been talking about, he got to the camera, and the camera said, if you didn't find the idol, why would you go over there? Well, because I saw her going over there, I think I'm going to go over there and look too. So we don't know if he found a clue. Maybe they just want us to think he found it on his own. Maybe he found a clue in that first reward challenge.
Oh, well, yeah, because they're always telling a story.
Exactly. I like the story that they told. I love that he went over there during the monsoon while they're in there freezing. I'm just going to go for a walk. Don't watch me. I'm just going to go for a walk over there. And comes back with the idol. And that's of course that's another guy on Team David that found another idol. But anyway, that's beside the point. All the idols are on Team David, by the way.
What?
One of them's under the ground.
So not
anyway.
Cool.
I do think that the edit is protecting LJ to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you mean by that?
Well, sorry, I just lost picture there, so I got thrown off. But he is, being shown making all of these correct decisions. He's being shown positively everywhere. And the thing is, he and Jeremiah botched that challenge.
Yeah.
They botched it. They lost it horribly. And they didn't dwell on it. Probst didn't spend all day tearing them to shreds the way he did.
You're losers. Right.
Yeah, it's. I mean, are you too busy working on your hair to work on the puzzle?
What are you, Jatia, losing a lead or something? That's Jatia's job, not your job.
Yeah, I mean, it was just. And the edit does protect. We've seen it over the years. Yeah. The edit protects people who are going to need to look good later. Like Sarah took. I wrote about it in the column this week, but she took a major hit for me in that you don't show someone unless it's going to be a redemptive arc. You don't show her talking about how she trusts Tony 110% and immediately cut to Tony saying, no one should ever trust me.
Right.
Because you make her look so bad.
Yeah. And
that's not a person who when you get to the end of the season, they show clips of stuff, what they've done up until then. That clip is there. Unless she manages to suss out what's going on and bust him like a good cop, then she just doesn't look good anymore. But LJ continues to look good, even though he cost his team a challenge.
It's funny that Jeffro mentioned the college kids at the camp for the beauty tribe, because LJ's kind of like the professor, and the rest of them are the college kids. The edit that we're getting, like you said, is making them look like they're learning from him. Although I still think Morgan's the smartest one of the bunch, along with LJ, or at least she's trying to play a savvy game, but she just doesn't have the numbers like LJ has. But I think she's more aware of what's going on.
You just said Morgan was the smartest one of the bunch?
Next to LJ. I think she's more savvy at Survivor.
I think Alexis is smarter than her. Alexis is better at Survivor than Morgan is.
But Alexis also isn't under the pressure that Morgan's under. Morgan knows she's on the outside.
Gosh.
Believe me, that first lie took some smarts to make that first lie and make it believable. Yeah. LJ didn't believe it, but the rest of them sure did.
Blinded by the lights.
Yeah. I will say that she is. I give her credit for trying, although her approach to Jeffra was a bit underwhelming insofar as she's like, I know you're really best friends with her, but you really should still vote with me. And there wasn't any real logic given. It's just, I think she's used to getting her way.
Yes.
Like, why wouldn't you vote with me?
Hello, I'm Morgan.
Yeah.
I mean, I
never get any tickets from the cops. I don't know why.
Yes.
I do what I want, but why not you?
All right, on that note, we need to end the Baker's Double 15. We are at 29 minutes, my friends.
Wait a minute. We got one more thing.
Oh, dude,
okay.
man.
I think y'all agree with me. Well, we're only at 29. That, I mean, I guess I should ask the question first. Is there ever a point to throw a challenge?
Oh, gosh. Okay, another 15 minutes. Go for it, guys. I'm just playing. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I go back and forth on this, and I understand and appreciate all of the arguments that suggest that occasionally throwing, like would, for example, in the Philippines, would Tandang have kept it together better if they had lost one and being able to get rid of whoever, RC or some source of contention. Mm-hmm. But I, especially when you're talking about there's going to be a swap, that you don't throw a challenge. You just don't. Bad things happen. I mean, Survivor history has borne it out time and time again. You start throwing challenges and then you start losing, and other tribes start getting some momentum. They even get some food in them if there's a reward connected to it. Mm-hmm. You're helping them so much. You're hurting yourself. I understand the desire for it, but if you can convince yourself it will have a numbers advantage, and those people that we can't stand will be usable pawns at some point in my game. I mean, I guess if there's a Russell level antagonist who will come after you on a heartbeat, the temptation is there, but I would still never do it. I can't think of a scenario in which I would.
Dwayne, would you ever think you could do it?
Sure.
That you could throw a challenge?
Sure.
You're thinking about getting rid of me. I know what you're thinking about.
That's right. You and I are on a challenge, and I know you're going to bite me in the back as soon as you have a chance. I don't know why you want to bite my back.
I'm not going to bite you in the back.
You're going to stab me in the back
yeah.
As soon as you have a chance, and so I'm going to get rid of you. No, I mean, hey, it's just like Colton talking his tribe into going to tribal council. It was good for Colton. No, and that's the same thing as throwing a challenge. It worked for him.
You're right. That is like throwing a challenge. But to me, I want a stress-free 2 days at my camp. And the only way Wu is bouncing in the monsoon is he knows he's not going to tribal council. If he knows that they just lost and they're going to be going to tribal council in the next 12 hours, he's not bouncing on the beach in the monsoon. The only way that I'm going to get through Survivor is psychologically is to know I've got at least 24 to 48 hours to work on other stuff and not think about tribal council.
All right. So
the only way you stay in the game is don't go to tribal council.
So the two of you would not throw a tribal council.
Not even if Russell's on my team, right? Not even if
for any reason at all. And I would. I'm leaving it open. There might be a scenario in which I would throw a challenge.
Yeah,
I'm just hey.
And as soon as you came to Andy and I with that suggestion, you'd be the one voted off.
Whatever.
Yep. Weak.
All right.
Weak.
All right. As much as I love Andy, it is time for the feedback. So we're going to have to say goodbye to Andy. As much as I'm enjoying this, please do not misunderstand my desire to get out of this 15-minute segment.
It's only
33 minutes into it.
Well, I'm happy to go away so you guys can just bite each other's back.
I'm not biting anybody.
Oh, man. No, hey, we really enjoy having you on the show, Andy. It's always fun. It's our second time.
We'll talk to you this week online.
We're enjoying it. Oh, yes, of course. Hey, y'all, go and read his blog, The Baker's Dozen. 3,800 words of amazingness. Now, I'm sure there will be at least 3 words I have to look up. Maybe 2. I
tried to keep it simple this week, so we'll see.
Well, yeah,
at the Dwaine level. Yeah. There you go.
No, Andy. Okay, Andy. I guarantee you, and I'm not going to have him admit this, but I guarantee you that Andy every once in a while will go, I wonder what awesome word I could use instead of this, and clicks the little right button and goes thesaurus and picks out a word to make it.
I'm gonna leave you, since I'm an English teacher. I'm gonna leave you with an English teacher thesaurus joke, and I'll call it a night.
All right.
A man with a thesaurus saunters into a tavern. That's the joke.
Bye, Andy.
Good night.
See ya.
Great to have you, man. Bye-bye. Oh, man. That was great. No, I do not want to block him. Gosh. It's asked me if I want to block him just because I'm ejecting him.
Oh.
All right. That was Andy Baker. Boy, that was fun.
He's always fun.
We had a lot of stuff. See, we could do a whole show just with Andy, but then it'd be the
we just
dad
did.
show.
I think we just did.
Yeah, well, we did. We did 35 minutes worth of the show. We have 8 feedback, though, to get to, and plus we still have My Crazy Theory, and we have Fun Office Pool stuff, and we have our D&D Challenge stuff. It's a good show tonight.
I hope you got that printed out.
It's all on the podcast notes, my son, even though you're not my son.
No, the challenge points and everything, so I didn't print all that out yet.
Oh, dude, what am I going to have to do?
I just got home.
I don't know if I have it printed out or not. I'm sure I do. All right, here we go. Stephen Meatforth from Massachusetts. This is Stephen. This is his second feedback in as many episodes. I have not got to proofread any of these, so if I stumble through them, I apologize. Hi, Dwaine and David. Here are this week's prime cuts from the butcher shop.
I like it.
Yes, I'm sure you do. Like yourselves, I thought this episode was only okay. I think that it is most likely because the Beauty Tribe is the least dynamic of the 3, and they voted off one of their more interesting players. I thought the decision to vote Bryce over Morgan was interesting. Do you think it means that Jeremiah would have defected if his lovely pseudo-ally were targeted? I think it is a possibility, albeit an unlikely one. I think Morgan would have been the better choice, actually. The point that Bryce made at Tribal Council, that Alexis had not talked with him about strategy, made me think he had a far less of a chance of breaking into the 4 than she does. Speaking of Morgan, congratulations to Colton on making it to week 2 of writing the power rankings. That's right. On our website, Colton Cumby is writing power rankings.
So if Morgan gets voted out, does he think he won't be writing anymore after that?
No, Colton says he's going to do it all season. He better.
Okay.
Oh, man,
Yeah.
he doesn't have to, but I guarantee you, though, as long as Morgan's in the game, Morgan is number 1. The Brawn tribe won the challenge going away, but I was completely amused by Cliff's role as the water catcher in this first half. Here you have one of the 100 best NBA scorers of all time, a man who made millions of dollars with his hand-eye coordination, his passing and shooting, and they essentially had him be the hoop. Good point,
Yep.
Stephen. While on the topic of the challenge, Spencer was hustling the whole time. He basically carried his whole team over the Beauty Tribe. He finally got a chance to do a puzzle maze, and he aced it.
Yep.
While on the topic of the brains, our girl Tasha, Dwaine had a really bad week, in my opinion. She was terrible during the challenge. She also really overstepped when she told Spencer that he especially needed to practice. Good Survivor players make everyone think they are safe. When you make someone think they are vulnerable, it is a huge mistake, and that goes double for a strong player like Spencer. Both Cass and Spencer should feel like they would be third if the other goes at this point. Would they ever force a 2-2 tie and make Tasha have to stare a 50% rock in the eye versus keeping Jatia? As the days go on and they get hungrier, Jatia's reckless rice act has to be grating on all 3 of them. Not to mention her going, I'd like a good serving of rice, please.
I think we all need one, yes.
Tasha seems safe, and I do like her, but I'm becoming pessimistic about the win. Jatia has become her Shamar, and I don't see it working. Meanwhile, Tony has done it again. He played Sarah like a fiddle. I'm excited to see how far he can go. He is the most fun player out there by far. I just hope he's not losing the social game while he's providing all of these fun moments. Lindsay's negative, somewhat mean attitude makes me hopeful she'll be out first, or she'll be the first one down. Finally, cheers to Bryce for being a fun player who was dealt a weak hand. Unlike Garrett, who probably was dealt a pair of kings, being the only physical presence on a tribe that desperately needs one. By the way, let me finish the sentence. Bryce was dealt a 9-4 offsuit and played about the best way he could. He was able to make Alexis look like a wet, scared puppy at Tribal, but just couldn't get Jeremiah to make the break. An admirable try. Colton thinks that Bryce was dealt a wonderful hand in that his tribe, that he should have been able to get those girls together and take out the guys. That's what Colton thinks, because Colton's like, if I was in that tribe, that's like my dream tribe.
Yeah.
You know.
But that was not a tribe built of Kim Spradlins and Sabrinas and girls that can actually do the work in the challenges. To me, that's a tribe of girls that depend on guys to build the shelter and help get through challenges.
Right. All right, and he says, thanks for the podcast and the forum, and I hope you guys have a great week. Stephen Meatforth from Massachusetts.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Stephen. Hold on, let me get my applause thing going here. Applause. Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah, speaking of Tony, I got in trouble this week for calling him a villain.
You think he's a villain?
No, I don't, but I think I said he was the closest to a villain only because he lied, and he disagreed, but he got a good laugh out of me saying he was the closest to a villain. Yeah. I said, no, man, we don't really have anybody that's a villain because the people that were the guy that was being rude was Garrett, and he's gone, and I said, you're the only one that's told a lie. that we've seen, so that makes you the most villain-like. He said, I'm not a villain.
Now, Lindsay has made fun of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Trish has gotten on to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Jatia is the biggest villain of the season.
True.
And let's see. That's about it. Those are the three that I could think would be villains over Mr. Tony. By the way, Shayna, in reference to our swap thing earlier, she says, David's right. Cook Island swapped on episode 3, and in season 12 they swapped in episode 2. That twist was young women versus older women versus younger men versus older men.
Oh, yeah.
So there you go. All right, next we have Mikko Marinheimo, and here goes David.
These are not in order. You did not put these in order.
They are in order in the email that I sent.
I printed them all, and I don't even have Mikko's.
You do not have Mikko's. Do I need to read Mikko's?
Yes, you do.
It's page 2.
The first one I have is Brandon from Alabama.
What page number does that say? Sorry, everybody.
I'm sorry, it doesn't say.
Because I always put page numbers. Are you sure you printed the correct thing?
Yeah, because it's the Talk of the Town is Brandon's. So I got the right.
Chances are when we do not have our stuff together, we don't know what to do.
In fact, I've only got about 4 or 5 of them.
Dude, that is so not cool. All right, I will read Mikko's. Here we go. Hi, D&D. Here's my feedback for episode 3, which is actually episode 2. Number 1, controversial topic of the week. Was Bryce voted out because he's a black gay man? No. This is something that I've heard some people mention, so I've been wondering, could there be any truth to it? To answer my own question, I don't think it's necessarily as simple as that. Based on what we know, I think it's safe to assume that Alexis and Bryce liked each other, and Jeffra was willing to work with him to blindside LJ. But Morgan shot that down. Maybe the dumbest move of the episode, by the way. I also think that LJ or Jeremiah would have wanted Bryce gone because he made them uncomfortable or anything like that. I'm sorry, I don't think that. He doesn't think that. But at the same time, I think that Stephen Fishback makes a good point when he says that the reason why Bryce was left on the outs in the first place could easily be just that he stands out because he's black and because he's gay. I think it's only natural for people to gravitate towards those whom they can relate to. That's why we had LJ with Jeremiah and Jeffra with Alexis. That's why I also think the game of Survivor is twice as hard for someone like Bryce who stands out, simply because of who he is. I also think that him being on the beauty tribe played into this as well, because I don't think it would be that far-fetched to assume that in a tribe full of beautiful people, 2 straight men would be much more likely to want to get rid of the gay guy instead of a hot girl, no matter how they try to reason the decision on to the cameras. Okay, I don't think him being black or gay had anything to do with him being voted off.
Oh, I don't think so either. In fact, I think his point was exactly right, that he said he's worried about him being a social threat later. Yeah. I think Bryce was a very sociable person on the tribe, and I think that's what made him nervous.
Yeah. All right, number 2, the editing. People are getting voted out for playing the game, a.k.a. being schemers, versus Probst commending good gameplay. This is a short one, but I think it's interesting because according to the edit, Bryce was already a third person voted out for being perceived as a threat later in the game, and yet Probst keeps on encouraging people to play the game even harder. So you can't really say that making those moves should be considered to be bad, compared to last season when Otis was making a move against Laura M, was clearly painted as being premature. So the question is, who are playing smart and whose game play gets them into trouble. Unnecessary lying or masterful manipulation. I think this is pivotal for the entire season, and it strongly revolves around two people, Tony and Sarah. On the other hand, we have Tony lying through his teeth, and at the same time, there's Sarah seemingly buying everything that he says. So how are we supposed to see their relationship? Is Tony a mastermind and Sarah a dumb person? Or is Sarah the hero and Tony the villain? Finally, there wasn't much else that stood out for me in the episode as far as themes go, but there was something else that I found interesting. I'm pretty sure Luzon isn't the only tribe in the history of Survivor that has been dedicated to practicing for the challenges. So why is the edit now all of a sudden showing this much practicing scenes? Probably because, to contrast, that they practiced the very thing they did horribly at in the challenge as well.
Exactly, because yes, if you see somebody doing something really good, it'll give away who's going to do good in the challenge.
Right. It also gives an opportunity to show Tasha being kind of like, when she's not happy with the way things are going, she gets to be a little louder and be a little more abrasive, I think.
It was also funny.
Yes.
Very funny.
I think it's fairly obvious from the edit that practicing didn't really have any impact on the result, but on the other hand, they didn't lose for once. So are these scenes only meant to be taken as comic relief, or should we root for them because they want to win so badly?
That's a good point.
Yep. Number 3, the people. LJ, still don't like him, but at least now I saw why he could go far. His social game might get him blindsided later, though. If the girls get together, he could be in trouble. Jeffra doesn't seem to know the rules of the game very well. Morgan seems to be at the bottom right now, but if she can get to a swap, the guys could be in trouble because now she's holding a grudge against both of them. That's very true. Spencer, I'm really starting to like him at this point. I still don't know if I want him to win because of that trolling in the pregame interviews, but his observation and perception skills seem to be exceptional, which I really like. Yeah, I'm really happy with Spencer right now.
Yeah.
Sarah, I'm definitely pro Sarah when it comes to her and Tony, so I'm hoping that she comes to her senses next week because this week didn't seem too promising for her. Thanks, Miko. Good job, Miko. Got to get my applause button here. Well, I don't have it. There it is.
The crowd woke up. Show up. There you go.
All right. Next we have Enrico from the Philippines.
Let me read it.
If you have it, sure.
I have it.
All right.
Hi, guys. I'll go straight to my observations. Number 1, it's a pity we didn't get to see the Luzons suffering during the storm, given their whole shelter fiasco. Perhaps they've had more than enough storms to last until day 39, in the guise of Miss Nukem Rice Jatia. Interestingly, in the Philippines, all major typhoons were traditionally named after women only. That has been changed a few years ago, though.
That's awesome. I mean, it's horrible, of course, but it's awesome.
On the other hand, there seemed to be some editing magic at Apari, where after Tony revealed his job to Sarah, suddenly the rain became an issue. Forecasting foreshadowing. Okay, number 2, I want none of the remaining brains left prior to the merge. So I'm sorry, I want none of the remaining brains to leave prior to the merge. They've all been dysfunctional but entertaining to watch. The best Shatia quote in episode 3 in 3 episodes. For me, they are the most iconic, ironic tribe. David schemes for the latter 2/3 of the game, gets voted out first. Garrett finds the idol, voted out, and left it at camp. Shatia wastes the rice, wants rice the following day.
Yes.
Tasha wants to practice sloshing water. Brains lagged at the challenge, as usual. Cass wants interior decorating, gets the immunity idol. Spencer's at the bottom, rises to the occasion, and wins the challenge. I love this tribe. How about you guys?
Yeah, they are very entertaining.
They are a tribe of people that almost seem like they shouldn't be out there to some degree, but they figured it out and pulled it together after 8 days. So, yes.
I thought that was so funny. Tasha's like, all right, we need to practice. Cass, I'm thinking of doing some interior decorating. He just puts the little thing on top of the pole.
Shatia, I think we all need rice.
Yes.
And Spencer, I'm just feeling dehydrated. We should all drink something. No, you should want the challenge. You should want to practice, of all people. Number 3, up at Apari. Things are starting to get ugly. Tony is getting way too much airtime in his strategy that I have this feeling all his lies will backfire.
Oh, yes, me too.
No hashtag Spy Shack this episode. It probably got blown away in the storm. Sarah's stock went down for me, as it seemed she relied too much on the blue blood bond. Swearing on her badge and all. Is that really a big deal in the police parlance?
Oh, yes.
Yes, it is. Would Cass then swear on the Bible and say nothing but the truth? Mm-hmm. Things don't bode well when thoughts of throwing a challenge come into play, as you heard at the end of the Baker's 15. Meanwhile, Lindsay is starting to show signs of weakness, while Cliff and Trish didn't say much. Stuck up for Wu, if only for his great attitude and challenge-winning performance.
There you go. I loved his attitude.
Yes, I talk about it. I talk about it in my non-blog.
In the Survivor by the Slice, which will be out on Monday.
Yep. Number 4, the Beauty Tribe's Tribal Council wasn't much of a surprise, though, given how we basically know already how the numbers are going to happen. Not so much surprise there, although I still think Morgan is a bigger threat than Bryce. Jeffro was awesome for like 2 seconds by bringing up LJ's name and potentially end up like Garrett, but no. I was a little surprised and impressed that she would think that high up. You know, are we in a position where we can take out the guy that's a strong factor in the game? He's a triple threat. So I was impressed that she brought that up.
Okay.
Speaking of LJ, unless it was shown, but how could his idol hunting gone unnoticed? Maybe the actual reef was near their latrine and out of sight from camp. I'm like you, though. I wouldn't really use the clearest water around as the latrine.
No. Although, then you can watch where you're stepping.
I was going to say, that's true. The mines would be easy to find.
I still think they go in the woods and then walk to the water to clean. That's what I think.
Anyways, Morgan is welcomed at the bottom, but it isn't too far-fetched for her to stir up a woman's alliance. Number 5. So far, only men have found the idol, and only men have gone home. Looks like we have another awesome episode this week. Cagayan is delivering thus far. Enrico from the Philippines.
Yes, I agree, Enrico. All right. Thank you, Enrico, for your very good feedback, as usual. Next, we have Brandon Bryce. Go for it, David.
All right. Wow, what an episode, guys. I can't believe the Brain Tribe finally avoided Tribal Council. I didn't believe a word Tasha was saying to Cass and Spencer when she told them she was going to vote off Jatia after she threw out the rice. I'm shocked that the Survivor Online community believes that Tasha is going to team up with Cass and Spencer. I don't see that happening at all. Tasha is power hungry and keeping a loyal, crazy Jatia, who is playing the game defensively than aggressively, is someone she can keep in her back pocket. When Cass said she was happy to make a girls' alliance, I was thinking, well, you better make sure Spencer doesn't find the idol, and if you do, vote him off.
And if you do vote
him off, she better hope there's a tribe swap, because I honestly believe that Tasha will rock and roll with Jatia over Cass. Next on the Brawn Tribe, the only people who seem to get any screen time is Sarah and Tony. Tony seems to be paranoid about something, and I can't figure it out. Well, Brandon, I think he's paranoid about leaving.
Yeah.
If I was out there, I'd be paranoid all the time.
Yes.
He spends all of his time thinking about finding idol clues, creating the spy shack, forming Cops R Us, and creating lies just to create chaos. Survivor already creates mistrust and paranoia. I'm not understanding Tony's gameplay. Well, I can tell you this, Brandon. As soon as the season's over, you will get a full dose of Tony's gameplay.
Yeah, we will definitely be having him on.
We are interrogating the spy cop.
That's right.
Tony should be forming bonds with his tribe mates. Episode 1, he told Trish he got her back. This week he told Sarah that he is telling her lies so he can keep her on his side, and that is so over the top. She said she was with him. There is no need to create a lie to manipulate her to vote your way. He should have said, I think Cliff is the biggest threat in this game because he is very likable, and that is a good reason to vote him off. Tony's fast-paced game is going to blow up in his face. He reminds me of Pete with how sneaky he is. Pete made sure to put RC and Abby against each other so Abby can be with him. Now we have Sarah not trusting Cliff and Lizzie. I'm guessing we're going to have fireworks next week. Let's see. I still do not understand why people feel she is going to turn on Tony. She said she was in a blue blood alliance and Cops R Us. I wonder what will trigger her to target Tony. Maybe she has a talk with Lindsay and Cliff.
Yeah. Let me address that. See,
yeah.
I do think Tony made a mistake by lying to her. It was an unnecessary lie that exposes him because all she had to do was go talk to Lindsay or go talk to Cliff or go talk to anybody and ask if they heard that.
Yeah.
And that Tony's lie is exposed, and she doesn't trust him anymore. So I think it was a very dangerous lie to tell in this game.
I had mentioned last week that I thought when we saw the clip that he was going to tell her the truth, I wondered if he was going to show her the idol just to show how sincere he was.
Yeah, and instead
she comes right out and talks about how much she believes him. I think he figured he would start spilling some information to try and show her that he's got more information. He wants to bond with her and use her, and starts that lie. I mean, I understand the point he made. I wonder about timing as well, since they haven't lost. He's planted a seed that's got, unfortunately, enough time to be revealed.
I know.
Yeah. I understand the lie. I wonder if the timing is wrong.
Yeah.
So, on the Beauty Tribe, I felt bad Bryce went. He was entertaining. LJ was right to target him because he is a social threat at the merge. I don't understand why the girls and Bryce didn't team up. If they had looked at the Brain Tribe, they saw them get rid of 2 strong guys. They could survive without LJ and Jeremiah. I don't understand why Alexis never talked game with Bryce. If she did, then they could have made a big move. Now I think Alexis and Jeffra are pawns in LJ's game. Maybe Jeffra, Alexis, and Morgan could work something together to take out one of the strong guys. I think it was strange that Survivor editors showed Jeffra offering LJ, and Morgan said no. Maybe that might be something that could be revisited. I can't wait for the next episode, Brandon.
Yeah. By the way, after I interrupted you, you started and you skipped a sentence or two. I get a bad feeling from this episode. I have been having dreams of Sarah getting screwed over from Tony since like the end of the premiere opening. I hope she can survive this challenge.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't think he'd want us to skip over his dreams.
Well, that was my fault. I had to open the Word document so I can get them all, and I must have gone down too far.
Oh, no, it's all right. Thank you so much, Brandon, for your feedback. It's amazing how similar our audience sounds every time they clap. They always sound so similar. Next, we have Will, the Great Ninja. Here we go. What's up, guys? It's Will from Wonder Lake again, the Giant Ninja. Why did I say the Great Ninja?
Because he says Will, the Great Ninja up top. And then he says the Giant Ninja.
I wrote that. He didn't write that. I wrote that.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Will, the Giant Ninja. I know who you are.
The Giant Ninja. Yes, we have seen him. Well, not live.
Right.
I'm loving this season so far. We're 3 tribal councils in, and I'm already getting a feeling for who some of the characters are, which is fantastic. Survivor tends to start slow and pick up late. What made Blood versus Water so great was how quickly it started. Better Business Bureau, Brains, Brawn, and Beauty is doing the same thing, which is great. So here are my thoughts on this episode. Hi-ya. Number 1.
He did not write hi-ya.
Who finds an idol? Who finds an idol?
Audible. Calling for an audible.
Who finds an idol in a monsoon? This guy. Props to LJ. Props to LJ. Gosh, I can't read tonight.
I'm the one that's been out all night that hasn't read anything.
He correctly predicted that Morgan received a hidden immunity idol clue, and he took the opportunity to look for it when everyone else was huddled from the rain. With nothing but cunning and instincts, he braved the elements and found what Morgan couldn't. Very impressive, LJ. Very impressed. Number 2. Hi-ya. You should want to practice. Boy, Tasha was subtle, huh? I'm amazed that Spencer was able to see right through that near subterfuge. I can't see. I should proofread these things before subterfuge to recognize what she was suggesting. Oh, I guarantee you Spencer knew what she was suggesting. Wait, you mean that I might be next to go? Question mark. I loved watching the Brain Tribe practice the water toss, and I loved the music that the editors ran during those shots. They were the good guys, the underdogs, who just needed to get everyone on the same page. Watching the actual competition, though, it was pretty clear that Tasha to Rice Burner was the weak link in the tribe. Was that evident during the practice sessions? Did they put Rice Burner at the right spot to minimize her role? I don't know. She almost cost them again.
It's funny. I know we didn't see all the practicing, but we saw Tasha catch the most water, and she was actually tossing the bucket.
Right.
Shatia was catching the most water, trying to catch the most water.
Right. Number 3, hi-ya! With a chance to live up to their name, I was so happy for the Brains tribe when they didn't lose the challenge. I cheered out loud. Wonderful things can happen when you minimize Rice Burner's role, huh? It was so great watching Spencer and Tasha literally jump for joy. Good for them. They may just make it to Tribe Swap after all. And the best thing to come out of their non-loss, another week of Cassie and Spencer. I love me some Cass. Number 4, hi-ya! Blue blood runs thick. Tony took another step forward in my book this week. If he sticks around, he could become one of my all-time favorites. I absolutely love the way he played Sarah this week. It takes a special kind of sociopath to not only swear on your badge without even a trace of remorse, but then to follow that up by guilting the other person into taking it seriously. Tony's, I don't care if you lie to me in Survivor, that's just the game, but don't say blue blood. Well, now, hold on. I'm looking for the end of the quote. He didn't give it, so let's see. I'm trying to figure out what he means.
That's the whole quote. Everything he's saying is a quote.
Oh, wow. There it is. Okay, it's all one big quote. All right, here I go. Tony's, I don't care if you lie to me in Survivor, that's just the game, but don't say blue blood and then double cross me, was amazing. There it was right in front of me. I didn't even see it. Will's at home going, hi-ya! Especially when paired with his confessional, they're just words, I don't care, I'll swear on my kids, on my wife, or whatever. I'm sorry, I thought I was talking about Bryce there for a moment. Whatever. Just awesome television, and an awesome Survivor play. I suspect that he's going to get caught in his own web. More on that later. But I love me some Tony. Team TV, baby. Number 5. Hi-ya! You really need to be watching this episode to get the full effect of my hi-yas.
That's funny.
Yeah. So. Oh, I'll still keep doing them, though. Trust me, Shorty. Speaking of pathological, has there ever been a more detailed, I heard so-and-so was trying to vote you out, lie presented on Survivor? I love that Tony created the details to sell his story. It was Cliff and Lindsay has doubts, and Cliff had to reassure her, and he used a nickname that nobody knew about. He was all, trust me, Shorty. I'm not a police officer, but I've worked with plenty of them. For 5 years, I worked directly with detectives in helping them to figure out how to build their case and make it stronger. Police officers know what sells a lie and what reveals one. The lies that don't have context, that don't make sense, are the ones that get fleshed out. Sarah was very trusting of her new blue-blooded ally, and she didn't really question his story. But the point here is that Tony had his ducks in a row. He knew who was there, who said what, and even what phrases they used. He was able to paint his story, and it played out well for now.
Yeah, I mean, Cliff could have nicknames for people. You know, I mean, he could have actually called her Shorty one time, so that would have actually made more of a convincing story.
Yes. Number 6.
Hi-ya! Now you're starting to sound like Miss Piggy.
Oh, yeah, I did, didn't I? All right. Yeah, we're going to get feedback. Please don't play to the video audience. I'm not. I think this is fun. I'm just going to stop doing it. Fine, I'll stop. Gosh. Here we go, number 6. Why don't... Oh, now you're going to start. Why don't we vote out LJ? Jeffra offered Bryce and Morgan the vote they needed. Was taking LJ out the right move? No, not at all, in my opinion. As I've said, in the early game, you need to avoid tribal council. But saying yes to Jeffra's suggestion was the right move for Morgan and Bryce. They needed votes. What difference does it make how strong the tribe is? Oh, let me just read it the way he wrote it. Hello. What difference does how strong the tribe is make to Morgan and Bryce if one of them is eating hamburgers on the pre-merge trip? If you're in a 2-against-3 split with a swing vote, and one of the 3 offers to join up with you, you vote out whomever they want, period.
There you go.
Number 7, the stereotypical beauty. Morgan, you demonstrated Jeff's point perfectly. Wow. When you're asked whether the stereotype of beautiful people is playing out on the tribe, don't say, we're all so pretty. It makes you sound dumb, which is the stereotype. Seriously, who didn't laugh? Number 8, ... I felt like Bryce's story arc deserved more episodes. I wish the tribe had voted out Morgan rather than Bryce. I understand LJ's rationale, but I just feel as though I, as a viewer, missed out. Bryce was perceptive and clever. I don't think he had a chance to win, even if he'd made the merge, but he would have been fun to watch. I'm going to miss this guy. I'm going to miss this freak, he writes. Number 9, the butterfly effect. Boy! Come on, Bryce, I understand what you were saying, but don't take a phrase that has one meaning and try and change it to suit your situation. Just say, I'm a butterfly. The butterfly effect is a concept that says that one small change in circumstances has a dramatic change on an ultimate outcome. E.g., had LJ chosen Bryce as the weakest rather than Morgan, then Bryce would have found the hidden immunity idol, then he would have been able to use it to secure Jeremiah's loyalty, then Alexis would be gone, then etc., etc., etc. It's a small thing, I know, but it irks me just a tad. What can I say? It rustles my feathers. Number 10, in your best Probst voice. Next time on Survivor. If you don't watch the previews, don't listen to this part. Just turn your volume down for about a minute. We're being set up to believe that Uncle Cliffy is done. I don't buy it. I think that if the Brawn tribe does indeed throw the challenge, which should never be done in my opinion, it's to vote out Tony. I suspect that Sarah has seen through his oh-so-clever ruse and has decided that the dirty cop needs to go. My reasons are threefold. First, she's talking with Woo about it. From what we've seen, Woo and Uncle Cliffy are tight. Why would she go to Uncle Cliffy's closest ally in an effort to oust him? Second, Cliff is seen as the eyes of the next challenge. If the tribe is throwing it, they'd want someone in on it to be directing. And third, from a metagame perspective, if the editors may be telegraphing ousts a week in advance. Last week, we saw Bryce making an alliance with Morgan and trying to bring Jeremiah in on it. Then this week, we see Bryce get voted out. We were led to be impressed by his gameplay, and we expected to see him stick around for a while. Likewise, this week, we saw Tony form a cops alliance with Sarah, causing us to believe that Sarah would stick with him through thick and thin. If the pattern holds, he's out next. I hope I'm wrong. I do not want to see Tony go, but that's my prediction right now. Later, guys. Will at the Giant Ninja.
Yeah, I like his first point about her going to Woo. That was my first question. Why would she be going to Woo about Cliff? I mean, unless they're not as close as the edit makes them out to be. I would be going to Lindsay. You know, someone that she's kind of helping and working with and talk to her about it, which she may have done, you know, and maybe she's going to Woo to confirm it, but then again, she's talking about throwing the challenge. Maybe that's at the end of the conversation. He's right. It's about Tony.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking it might be about Tony.
Especially, like he said, he's got 2 good points. Cliff is the caller. You wouldn't do that. You'd either sit Tony out, you'd sit Cliff out, or you'd put him in a blindfold.
Yeah.
So I agree. That's kind of scary.
You know, another thing that plays into my office pools picks, which again I am making them. I'm just making them before I'm watching stuff, and I don't change them. Is there's two challenges this week.
Yes.
According to Probst, there's 2 challenges this week. So a lot of that plays into who are they going to sit out on the reward challenge, because they want that person to be available for the immunity challenge. So they're going to sit out stronger people in the reward challenge and sit out the weaker people at the immunity challenge. Interesting.
And that's another point I was going to bring up with Andy, is that we're going to get even less tribe dynamics this week because we got 2 challenges to go through.
That's right.
So that's even less tribe time.
All right. Sindri from Iceland. I think he's from Iceland. Isn't he from Iceland?
That's what you wrote.
I know, but that doesn't mean
he question mark. Yeah, I think he is.
Go ahead, David.
Hello,
wait.
Yeah, don't get the giant ninja mad at you.
Good job, Will the Ninja.
Hello, Dwaine and David. This is Sindri from Iceland.
Oh, whoa, no. He wrote his whole name.
I bet you wrote that out there.
No, he did. Go ahead.
Okay, another solid episode of an already promising
wimp.
Season. Very promising season. I'm not going to embarrass myself and mispronounce his name like you did, Miko. Who actually
Sindri
said
Snare Omarsson.
Snare Omarsson. You got to say it with an Icelandic voice.
Oh, really? There's Icelandic? I didn't know that.
Sure.
Is there?
Sure.
Okay. Sindri Snare Omarsson.
From Iceland.
Surely the Germans have been in Iceland.
That's right. They invaded there first. Okay.
All right, go ahead. Come on, we got to go.
Another solid episode of an already very promising season. First thing we saw was Tasha's social game continuing to disappoint. Her telling Spencer that he was going to vote for Jatia before Garrett's shenanigans started when Jatia was standing right next to her continues to show that Tasha doesn't think before she speaks. She's too impulsive and impatient to play a good social game for 39 days, so I don't have high expectations for Tasha. Spencer handled that situation great. Gave them no bitterness to work with. Surprisingly, Spencer is a very likable and playing very smartly.
Yes.
Next, we saw Tony and Sarah's conversation. I think Tony handled that perfectly. First, by admitting to lying, but nothing she didn't already suspect, he gave her confidence because now she knows she was right. Secondly, he was able to get her totally on his side by making her lose trust in her closest allies, Lindsay and Cliff. I love seeing the hard conditions. What we saw this week was Tropical Storm Ising. 2 more tropical storms will pass a bit more to the south of their location, but wait until the last week of the season when Category 4 Super Typhoon Labuyo hits them almost directly.
Wow.
It could get ugly. Then yet again we see Tasha being too aggressive when she is telling Spencer they need to practice if he doesn't want to go home. Spencer handled it well by just practicing and not making waves.
Yep.
Good pun. The challenge was good. I liked the maze. It was something different. It was great seeing the Brains finally winning something. Oh, why did Bryce have to leave? Now we have to have a second chance season just so he can come back. But wow, we did have 2 such high-profile players go out in the first 2 episodes. David, Garrett, and Bryce all had massive potential. Jeremiah probably made the right decision, but it's terrible to have to be at Bryce's expense. And I talk about that too in my non-blog that I think we'll be seeing Bryce again.
In your non-blog.
That's right. It's not a blog. I don't think the Brawn tribe are throwing it to get Tony out because he has had too big of an edit to go out this early. I think it is more likely it's Cliff, but the most likely scenario is they are not throwing the challenge. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Sincerely, Sindri.
Sincerely, Sindri.
I really think I really think that's probably the first person she may have gone to in Wu, and I just can't see Wu being willing to throw a challenge. There's no way Wu will want to woe a challenge. Just not gonna happen.
Wu would what?
No way Wu would want to woe a challenge.
Okay. I think she is targeting Tony, but I don't think they're going to throw the challenge. So I don't think Braun's going to lose.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Sindri from Iceland. I'm from Iceland. I really don't do well on my, Icelandish talk.
I think Viking, I think Nordic. I don't know where that comes from. And of course, all the movies we watch with Vikings are usually English-speaking people trying to speak that way.
I think of Iceland, and I remember Lost, the show Lost, when they were trying to anyway, forget it. Jennifer Myatt from Kentucky. Hi, guys. I enjoyed the episode this week. Obviously, it wasn't as exciting as last week, but it was a solid episode. I can't imagine suffering in the rain. I've always thought I could be on Survivor, but after seeing how miserable all the castaways were, minus Wu, I'm second-guessing that. Before the season started, I was torn between choosing Jeffer or Sarah as my pick to win. I really like Sarah, but Jeffer is from my home state, Kentucky. Ultimately, I went with Sarah. After the first episode, I felt really good about that choice. After this episode, I'm not so sure. Believing Tony is a terrible idea, considering he's the only one who she knows has lied to her. I'm hoping that the previews are her figuring out that Tony is lying and she wants him out as opposed to Cliff. I actually hope the Brawn tribe does not decide to throw the challenge. We all know that doesn't usually end up well. I do enjoy watching Tony as a character, but he's more of a Philip-like character to me. Fun to watch, but not to take seriously. I'm so happy the Brains tribe finally won. I am a huge Spencer fan. It looks as though he's on the bottom, but I'm hoping he can figure out something to keep him safe, at least until the tribe swap. I can't believe that Jatia asked for rice. I think I would have told her no. I would have said, there's some on the ground over there?
Yeah, really.
That's your rice.
Crispy rice on the ground.
Yeah. Anything on the ground that you can get, that would be yours. She's my pick to go home this week just because she should have gone home in episode 1. The Beauty Tribe is my least favorite. I think it's because they aren't as exciting of characters. I unexpectedly like Morgan. From pregame interviews, I thought I wouldn't like her at all. Actually, she has a lot more game than I expected. Well, you and David are in the same boat.
Yep.
You both feel that way. I like LJ, but I feel like no one really sees he's in control. Maybe they do, and we're just not seeing it. LJ is smart to realize that Morgan had been looking for the idol. Why did no one realize what LJ was doing? Hello? There's a monsoon, and he's out walking around in it. I guess it's easy to say sitting in my warm, dry home. I'm excited for the next episode. I think this might be the last week before a tribe swap. Thanks, Dwaine and David, for taking the time to do the podcast so crazy fans like me can have something to look forward to between episodes. I look forward to hearing everyone's feedback. Jennifer Myatt from Kentucky. Excellent.
Yeah.
That might have been her first feedback, I think. You think?
No, she sounds familiar. I thought we've seen her before.
Oh, well, either way.
Now, I think number-wise, I don't think we'd have a swap after this next one because then the tribes would be uneven. Because they're uneven now. You know what? She's right. If we lost one more player, then it would be a time for a tribe swap because it'd be even numbers. Thank you, Jennifer, for making that point and being correct.
You think they'll go to 2 tribes?
That's what they did in Philippines.
Well, I'm just wondering. I'm just asking. So they won't do a tribe swap. They'll do a total tribe reconfiguration.
Yeah, do that shuffle thing. And boy, I hope they don't do the eggs. I hate the eggs.
Yeah, I don't like the eggs either.
Do a schoolyard pick.
They need to do schoolyard pick. Although the problem with that is Brawn will pick all Brawn and Brain will pick all Brain.
But if they have to pick boy, girl, it could mix it up a little bit like they did before.
Yeah.
So
they could make it really complicated. You can only vote for a girl if she's on another tribe from yours, and just get all kinds of rules. Get them all confused. All right, our last feedback for the evening before we get to the D&D Survivor Challenge stuff and the Fun Office Pool stuff and my crazy theory is Brandon from Alabama.
Hello, D&D. The talk of the town is that this was another solid episode, although it was tough to live up to last week. The time that had to be spent on the Solana tribe seemed to be the least interesting part of the first 3 episodes. Maybe they were just cast for their looks. Soaking wet water? Really, Jeffra? Tony just couldn't hold it in. He had to tell Sarah he was a cop. She seemed to be all right that he had already lied to her about it, but she might have difficulty trusting him once she has some time to think about it. Right now, however, Tony seems to have the upper hand on Sarah. I know that my opinion is biased because I get to see the confessionals, but I would trust Tony about as much as I would trust Shatia to watch a container of rice. Tony isn't the smoothest game player out there, so I would be shocked if he didn't get caught up in everything he is doing in a short time. Don't get me wrong, I like Tony, and he is great to watch. I really loved his impression of Lindsay, too. What a storm they had to endure. I love that these things like this happen a few times a season to make things a bit more difficult and show us who really wants it. Wu had a great reaction to it, too. I love Wu. He sounded like Lindsay might have had some quitter talk. It sounded like Lindsay might have had some quitter talk. That comment was not put in for no reason, and I believe it will come into play in the next couple of episodes. He's exactly right. We've talked about this before. There's nothing in there by accident or just to fill space. Lindsay sounded like she really dreaded putting up with anything of the survival aspect, and she will be gone soon. Sorry. Lindsay sounded like she really dreaded putting up with any more of the survival aspect, and she will be gone soon. She point blank said, "I've never put myself in something like this," and I kind of wish I hadn't.
I wish I had. I wish I was with Garrett right now. Is what she's saying.
I wonder what Garrett's doing.
She's like, "What? Garrett got voted off? Hello? Let's throw the challenge."
I'm impressed that Luzon actually practiced for the challenge. I'd hate to think what they would have looked like without the practice.
Good point.
Go watch the challenge. That's what they would look like without practice. Although I'm sure it was edited to look like they were more inept than they were. So Shatia wanted some rice, huh? Should have thought about that a couple of days ago. The scene of them practicing was pretty comical. Spencer and Cass did a great job coming from behind in the puzzle part of the challenge. Yeah, they sure did, because it looked like LJ and Jeremiah got hardly anywhere.
Yeah.
Tasha did not come off great in this episode. She isn't coming off like she is handling things very smoothly. Telling Spencer he should really want to practice was unnecessary, and she was shown to be way too bossy. She also appeared to be getting mad at Shatia during the challenge when she didn't seem to be doing any better than Shatia was. I don't think she has a shot to win after this episode. That's a good point. We didn't hear anything from Shatia except that she wanted rice, but Tasha was turning into the bossy one.
Well, what it shows, unfortunately, is that when Tasha is in a stressful situation, she doesn't control her tongue.
Right.
And she doesn't always think before she speaks or weigh the ramifications of what she says because she's frustrated and wants to get something done and no one else is doing it.
And she could also be overconfident in her women's alliance and thinking that they're fully, they're tight. So Solana is hands down the most boring tribe. Hats off to LJ for finding the idol without a clue, too. I hope you thank Bob for pointing it out. I mean, walking with him on his exhausting idol hunt. I'm not sure what happened to the puzzle solvers, LJ and Jeremiah, in the challenge, but they really appeared to have a rough time. Watching this tribe strategize physically hurt. It felt like they weren't really sure how to play. It felt like Survivor, Elementary Edition. Their answers to Jeff's questions at Trouble consisted of not answering the question and babbling nonsense. Alexis is non-existent. Jeffra is confused, and by all these strategies she has never heard of. I wonder why she hasn't heard of vote splitting.
Which, by the way, was brought up by Alexis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Morgan thinks her assets have control over any man she wants. LJ seems to spend more time with Bob than anyone. Watch out for a Bob and LJ final two.
Bob the cameraman.
That's right. Bryce seemed interesting and capable, but didn't have a chance in the smaller tribe. Jeremiah seems like a nice guy who doesn't want to tell anyone no. Voting Alexis could have been good for him, but the risk of tearing the tribe apart was too much. Goodbye, purple pants and studded jean jacket. We hardly knew you. ... Brandon from Alabama.
Good job, Brandon. My fellow Alabamian. All right, guys, that's our feedback. It is time for our D&D Survivor Challenge results. If you are playing, if you have your team with you and your friends, these are how they played out. I was not prepared for this, David, so I will do my best. It looks like on this episode, okay, so David and Garrett got no points because they were not in the episode.
You sure?
Everybody else got a point for being in the episode.
Right.
So Spencer, let's see, Jeffra got 2 points. Spencer got 2 points. Latasha got 2 points. Trish got 3 points. Woo got 3 points. Bryce got 1. Sarah got 4. Alexis got 1. LJ got 5. Morgan got 1. Cass got 3. Lindsay got 3. Cliff got 3. Shatia got 2. Tony got 6. Dadgummit.
He is the man.
Jeremiah got 1. All right, so what were some of these? Why did some people get more than 1 point? So you've got...
Everybody from Beauty would have gotten 1 unless they had a blur. Because nobody, except for LJ, who found the idol. So that's where his points came from, the idol and a plumber's blur that he got while finding the idol. And other blurs.
Sarah, LJ, Cass got blurs, so they got a point each for that.
Yep.
Jeffra got a point for saying blindside or some form of the word.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. And so Sarah, LJ, and Cass are all on Team David. Dadgummit.
There you go.
And Tony and LJ got
idle possession
for having idle possession.
Both on Team David.
Yes, I thought there were 3 idols.
It's buried. The third one's buried. Garrett doesn't own it anymore because he buried it.
Oh, yes, of course.
But unless you want to give me credit.
Silly me. All right, so there we go. So as of right now, David is ahead of me 26-16. 26-16.
That was just for this week. Because last week we were in the 40s. What's the total score?
I don't know. I don't have that page in front of me.
Oh.
Sorry, buddy. Sorry, Charlie. All right, Fun Office Pools. If you are playing on our Fun Office Pool, then these are the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Which team finishes first in the first challenge?
Which we know is going to be a reward challenge.
Yes, I put brains. What do you think, David?
I'll pick Brawn.
All right. Person voted out is male or female? Yes. The answer is yes.
I'll pick male. Oh, is it really? I
No.
pick male.
I also pick male.
4 males in a row. That'd
now,
be crazy.
Before I've watched, other than the next time on, and I haven't dissected it though. So this is me just totally not dissecting anything, just trying to figure some stuff out, just guessing. I put 10 points on Tony and 10 points on Cliff. Although I don't know why I did that. Now that I think about it, because I don't think they're going to lose.
The challenge? Yeah.
No, I don't think they're going to lose. So it was a bad mistake, but I told y'all I was going to keep it, and that's what I'm.
But you haven't seen anything else, so now's the time to change it if you want to change it.
Well, I might, but I don't know to whom, so it doesn't matter.
Of course you might.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I've said.
So who do you think's going to lose? I think Brains. I think Brains are going to lose the immunity.
And I
challenge.
think Beauty's going to lose.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm talking about the immunity challenge.
The immunity challenge, right? So I think Brains is going to lose.
Okay, let's.
And I think they're going to blindside Tasha.
All right.
Maybe.
Okay, so in the reward challenge, Brawn has 6 people. They have to sit out 2.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to sit out Tony Young, Tony Wu, or Cliff or Sarah because they're the strongest players. No, wait. They're not going to sit out. Yeah, they might sit them out. They're not going to sit out Lindsay and Trish because they'll sit them out for the immunity challenge. So either Sarah, Cliff, Wu, or Tony are going to sit out for the reward challenge. And they probably
which
won't.
One is which? The one's a water challenge, shooting the balls, and the other one's the blindfold walking.
I have no idea. No idea. But my point is, I don't think Braun's going to win the reward challenge. I think Brains has the best chance of winning the reward challenge because they'll have the strongest team playing in it.
No, they'll have the remaining players playing in it. Not necessarily
which is
really
their strongest.
What has Jatia showed you that she is the strongest member of any team?
All right, forget it. Let's just get to my crazy theory. Well, no. What? Who would you put points on? Jatia? Is that what you said?
I'm going to put points on 2 Brains, probably Cass and Jatia.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for my crazy theory. It is called The Dog at Camp.
Mm-hmm. Didn't see that coming.
No. Wu and Cliff come across a stray dog while they're out in the jungle. Just a scraggly old mutt.
Mm-hmm.
The dog follows them back to camp and won't leave. Trish suggests that they name the dog and make it their mascot. All right. So they all agree and try to decide on a name. Many names are tossed around, such as Superdog, Popeye, Atlas, Zeus, and Leo, etc., because they're the Brawn tribe. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But with Tony and Sarah working the tribe, they decide on the name Hooch instead. Get it? Turner and Hooch.
Yes. Tom Hanks. Yes.
Soon they realize the dog is no Hooch. She's a Hoochie Mama. So the dog's a Hoochie Mama. All day long, the Brawn tribe has had a blast with Hoochie Mama, but night is coming. As they sleep, Hoochie Mama proceeds to eat and bury everyone's shoes, clothes, food, tools, etc. She even finds and destroys Tony's spy shack. So here is my crazy theory.
Okay.
The Brawn tribe loses all of their camp necessities, and Tony's spy shack is revealed because they got a Hoochie Mama in their tribe. That's my crazy theory.
So Hoochie Mama reveals it and then eats it.
Yes.
Or buries it.
Well, basically what happens is they wake up the next morning, they're trying to find the dog, and the dog comes out of the spy shack, and they all go, what? What's that?
Where's the dog? Where's the dog?
Yeah. Where's our shoes? Where's our clothes? Where's our rice?
What is this little compartment behind the shack? What is this?
Yes. Why is Hoochie Mama coming out of there with all of our gold and all of our money? Look up Hoochie Mama on Urban Dictionary, and you'll get what I mean.
Okay.
All right, my friends, that is our episode for tonight. You can follow us on Twitter at Survivor Talk, at Survivor_Talk. Some guy has Survivor Talk that doesn't use it. And so don't go there. And you can follow David at David_STWDD because he likes to talk Survivor on Twitter. So do it. And join the Facebook group with groups/Survivor Talk. That's facebook.com/groups/Survivor Talk. And David, where should they start their shopping if they're going to buy anything from Amazon?
They should go to one of our links, either on our webpage, which is survivortalkwithdnd.com, or our Facebook group that you just mentioned, and use the top post, which is what I did a couple days ago, to continue my Funko shopping, and pick up 2 more characters that'll go up on the wall.
Yes,
and use that link very easily. Do not fill your basket until you've clicked on our link, because then we won't get credit like I did once or twice.
Yes.
And click on the link first, fill your basket, and then purchase.
Yes. Yes. So thank you for shopping Amazon using our links.
Can we give shout outs to current survivors for using our link, like Tony?
Yeah, Tony uses our link.
Yes, he has.
Or he's the only one that's told us. I don't know of anybody else.
Cass offered to, and then we don't know if she.
I don't know if she did or not.
I think she teased us.
She probably legally cannot do so.
And she's so honest. I mean, she's so forthcoming.
I know. She actually said, "I'm not going to use your link." Hello. What's up with that? Why not? Help the small podcast.
That's right.
We're just, we're the small fish in the pond. Help us out.
Just 2 guys talking about Survivor.
That's right. 2 guys with wives.
That's right.
All right. All right. Any final words, David, before we sign off for the evening?
I hope we get an episode like the premiere coming up this week. I do.
I think it's going to be a good episode.
I think it will with 2 challenges. I think that's going to make a big difference.
Yeah. I will be traveling this week, Monday and Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So I will, at least while I'm driving, I will not be on Facebook that much. So anyway, I'll be back on Wednesday, though, to give all my thoughts on our Facebook group. Music for tonight's show is Spy Shack. Music by the B-52s, lyrics by your very own
and vocals.
Dwaine Stroud. Do what?
That's right. And vocals. Lyrics
and vocals by Dwaine Stroud and his wife with a little cameo.
Actually, it's by Dwaine Stroud, and Connie.
Yes. If I'd had more time, who knows? I did all that in like 90 minutes. I wrote it, recorded it, all in 90 minutes.
Did you do it the day of, on a Sunday afternoon?
I did it like Sunday. I started at 2:30. No, I started at 2:15, and I had to leave for rehearsal at 3:40.
Wow.
And I had it done at 3:35.
Most impressive. The comment from my family was, you can tell he's having fun. They can hear it in your voice when you're singing that you were having a ball.
Yeah. And somebody on Twitter, somebody emailed us. I don't remember her name. I apologize. Said that she made it into a ringtone and uses it for a ringtone for her phone.
Nice.
How cool is that? And then I saw on Twitter, a couple people posted, how am I supposed to go to sleep? Actually, they posted, if you're trying to go to sleep, do not listen to Survivor Talk with D&D, because Spy Shack will be stuck in your head for the whole night. And that is not anything towards me. That is to the B-52s for writing such an amazing song.
Catchy song, right?
Yes, such a catchy song. I just put new words to it. Look at my biceps. They're bigger than yours.
And I'm about to get woo.
No, I'm about to hear woo.
Hear woos. I don't know. You're singing so fast I can't understand you.
Yeah, well, you should pay attention, David.
Have you posted the lyrics?
No. Why would I post No. Why would I do that?
For people like me that can't understand everything you're saying.
Dude, just pay attention.
You've been telling me that for 5 seasons. Why do I need to start now?
I don't know, man. All right, well, let's see. I guess we're done. Oh, have you started watching White Collar?
No. I just finished Dexter yesterday.
Oh, how did you like the way it ended?
Unfortunately, I knew how he ended.
Oh.
I'd already known about that. Yeah, so I knew about that. But I didn't like it. I didn't like the ending.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was
not the way I would have hoped. It made sense, but I just didn't like it.
No, I didn't even think it made sense. I mean, okay, it makes sense, but
yeah, why he did what he did.
Yeah, yes. But still, why not go ahead and? I mean, look at her. She loves you.
Yep, and she loves you. Yes.
He left his. Okay, spoiler. Spoiler alert. Here it comes. Spoiler. He left his kid with a serial killer. Hello?
True. Extremely true. I couldn't.
Come on.
I mean, I know he did it to protect him and to keep them out of trouble, but I couldn't have done it. Couldn't leave my child.
All right. So what show are you going to watch? You've got to watch White Collar. Come on.
Yeah, well, we're watching a couple things on TV. You got Vikings to watch. Got to catch up on the following. I think we're all caught up on everything else. Justified and The Americans. We're all caught up on that. I could probably get a White Collar in before Wednesday.
Okay, this is what you need to do. You need to watch at least the first episode of White Collar. It really is good, and it just gets better. I just finished season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's a very intelligent show.
And you say it's better than a lot of the other stuff you've been watching?
Yeah, it is by far my favorite show right now.
Really?
Yes.
As we're doing a Survivor podcast, you're calling it your favorite show.
My favorite crime show. My favorite crime show.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest with you, yeah. Yes.
Thank you for being honest with me.
I enjoy Survivor, the one time I watch it, and then I usually watch it one more time just to kind of get, since I didn't get to look at it all because I was taking notes. And I enjoy it, but I don't think I would want to sit down and watch like 12 episodes in a row.
Right.
So, and with White Collar, I'm like, oh, I got to watch the next one. I really like it. And it's very intelligent. It's not your typical crime formula every week. They kind of mix it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. It's white collar crimes, so this is the FBI unit, white collar crimes, and it's very good. Very good. And anyway, it's very good.
There's a good story behind it, isn't it? Good.
Yes, there is. It's a very good show. And yes, I actually am enjoying it more than I enjoyed the last season of Sherlock. Yes. The last season of Sherlock was okay, was decent, but I'm enjoying White Collar more.
And you probably don't notice because you don't get commercials of every channel, but there's a new series starting up called Fargo. My guess it's going to be based on the movie.
Oh, really?
And it's going to be starring...
How are they going to do that?
It's going to be featuring Martin Freeman, who is Watson from the BBC Sherlock.
Oh, wow. What channel is this going to be on?
This is on FX channel.
Oh, so FX. Okay, so they can get away with more on FX.
Oh, yes. Exactly.
I mean, I just can't see Fargo being
FX gets away with FX gets away with a lot after 10 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah. Showing at 2 a.m. in the morning.
That's right.
Fargo. I tell you what show I've seen a couple episodes of. Oh, it's that lawyer. It's based on a BBC show. And he's just...
Oh, is it Rake? It's not Rake.
Yes, Rake. I think
it is Rake, yes.
Yeah, that's pretty
Greg
funny.
Kinnear, yeah.
It has some funny things in it. Did you watch Downton Abbey? Did you watch the last season of Downton Abbey? Did I already ask you that?
All done with that.
Did you enjoy it?
It took me a minute to realize they skipped 8 months.
Yeah.
In one segment there. Like, wait a minute. What?
Spoiler alert.
Expecting something?
Spoiler alert. Yeah. Yeah.
But
it's like the next episode, 10 months later.
All right, since we're talking Downton Abbey, who do you want Mary to choose as your suitor? Do you have a favorite of those guys?
Yes, absolutely. The first guy.
Really? The one that keeps getting engaged and breaking it off and getting engaged?
He only got engaged once and broke it off. Yes, absolutely him. Although now that the other guy is like rich,
I like the second guy.
Yeah. Well, she did, slop pigs with him.
There you go.
So,
he was my choice. The rest of it was good. It's always entertaining. It's a very entertaining show.
That is so attractive, David, when you yawn.
When I yawn, I'm sorry. Yeah. I've been out all day. Between drama and choir and birthday dinner.
Oh, yeah, you got a big Easter production to get ready for, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm so glad I don't do those anymore.
No, you don't. You miss it.
No. I miss y'all.
Talking about it and writing it and putting it together.
Oh, it's got me to thinking. You and I should write together. Should write songs together.
Again?
Songs.
Oh, I like the other thing we wrote together, the drama.
Well, I did too, but all right. Anyway, we digress. This is no longer Survivor talk. This is Shooting the Breeze. That's what we're doing. All right, everybody, we're gonna go ahead and do what, David?
Is it a free Shooting the Breeze segment?
That's right. Well, it's not like we've been updating that podcast.
No.
Costs $15 a month. We don't put anything on it. I don't know why we're doing it. All right. Anyway, thanks for listening. That is all I've got. How about you, Dave?
I'm done.
All right, see you, everybody.
See ya.
The Spy Shack is a little hidden place where we can spy together. The Spy Shack Tony. Spy Shack Tony. Spy Shack, that's where Tony's at. Spy Shack, that's where Tony's at. Tony is a sneaking, Tony is a listening, wearing next to nothing 'cause it's hot as a mug. The whole shack shimmies 'cause Tony is a moving around and around and around and around. Everybody's talking, Tony is a listening, baby. Probt doesn't know, Tony wants to get sound. Everybody's talking, Tony is a listening, baby. Private little shack, private little Spy Shack. Look at my biceps, much bigger than yours, and I'm about to hear woo. I've got me a spot where I can be sneaky, so come on, and we can spy on Lindsay. The Spy Shack is a little hidden place where we can spy together. Spy Shack Tony. The Spy Shack Tony. Spy Shack Tony. Spy Shack. Spy Shack. Oh, Tony. Baby, Spy Shack. Make the door, baby. A little more sturdy, Tony. Pom, pom, fronds, make the door, baby. I can't hear you. Pom, fronds, make the door, Tony. Pom, fronds, make the door. Pom, fronds, make the door, baby. Pom, fronds. You're what? Spy Shack, Tony Spy Shack. Baby, that's where it's at. Spy Shack, Tony Spy Shack. Tony Spy Shack, Tony Spy Shack. They'll be Spy Shack, Tony Spy Shack. Watching at the